Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pulling Around Show. Today, I've got a good one for you. We are here with Hall of Famer Robin Dodson. Robin, thanks for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome.
I sent you kind of a rough draft of questions I'm gonna ask you, and then I'll let you, like I said, I'll let you tell a couple of stories. I won't
Okay.
keep you all day just because I know you're busy. Um, so what got you started playing pool?
Well, we lived by a pool hall, but the thing that really grabbed me was the pinball machines that they had in the pool hall. And I was mesmerized by pinball machines and the balls bouncing all over the place. And then there was kind of like a group of kids that also really enjoyed them. And so I began to make friendships. And the pool table itself didn't have any draw to me whatsoever. And then there was also a bowling alley that even the bowling didn't grab me. It was just the pinball machines for a while until those kids started to play pool and they were boys. So I was boy crazy at 12. And these kids were all in high school. So they, treated me like their little sister. And it was like I was good only if I had money to pay for the pool time. So
Yeah, yeah.
started playing pool with them, and that's really what captured me was the pinball machines and the boys.
So who was your biggest influence playing in the pool world?
So what happened was the owner of the pool hall, his name was Buck, and he recognized that I had some eye-hand coordination. So he started to show me how to hold the pool cue, how to aim, and from there, I just honestly, I just played pool because I thought the boys would notice me. But it took about a year, I would say, that I'm like, well, who are the boys? Forget them. This game just mesmerized me.
So where was this at? I mean, what city?
Westminster Family Billiards in Westminster, California.
Is that a suburb of Los Angeles, or is it?
So in Orange County by Disneyland.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So out of your whole list of achievements, um, what has what is which one or a couple mean the most?
Well, there's a few of them, but the one that just popped into my head was when I won the first world championship. And it doesn't mean so much the title itself as it was that my mom was able to come to Bergheim, Germany with me. We'd never traveled before, and she was really excited. And I remember actually wrote one of my stories about her. It was called The Headache. And everybody wanted to go out and check out what was going on in Germany. And my mom whispered in my ear and she said, honey, I've got a migraine. So I excused myself and we went to the room. When we got to the room, she said, I really didn't have a migraine, but you're playing for the world championship, girl. You need to go to sleep and get some rest. And I went on to win that tournament. And it was very cool.
So when did you so going into the growing up, starting playing pool, when did you start going into the pool halls? I mean, obviously, I think everybody that played pool growing up, they gambled. So when did when did that come about?
So I was playing at the Westminster Family Billiards, and I remember the time when I was introduced to the night shift. And what happened was the guy that worked there, his name was Gene, and he recognized right away that I had talent. So he started betting on me, and he would split the winnings that he won. And it really was cheap money. We're talking a quarter on the five, 50 cents on the nine. And he would bring all of his friends in, they would come in and play, and he would have them play me. And he would just have the most fun because they had no chance against me. They laughed, he laughed, I got half the money. So it was like that was my first introduction to gambling.
So what was your biggest win gambling?
My biggest win gambling was $1,600. And that was to me was like, oh my goodness. I mean, back then
Right.
I was rich. And
Right.
I wasn't the gambler type. My mom was, we didn't have any money. So when I won, it was not gambling coupons. It was money. It was new clothes. It was, I always spent what I made. I loved it.
So did they weren't really, I don't know if they're really into drills. Um, so I was never taught any drills growing up. It was just rack the balls, shoot, and try to get better every rack. But I mean, was there certain drills that you did growing up to get better?
I played every day for hours and hours, and there would be shots like bank shots. I would practice bank shots. I would practice cut the spot shot because back in that time there was no ball in hand. If you scratched, it was ball behind the line, or you had to spot the ball if it, something happened. And so I practiced spot shots. But more than anything, I just played a lot of pool. I watched I was around the best players because, like they would come to LA and I would just go and sit and watch, even though I didn't know why they were doing the shots, how they were doing it. I would go and copy it. I would mimic it, but I didn't understand the tangent line. I didn't understand, center ball. I just did it for hours and hours. And so I would always, if anybody would watch my game, they would say, she does not know what the cue ball is going to do. But I could make anything on the table because
Right.
I always had pretty much long shots because of the tangent line. And, but because I practiced so much, um, I could, like I said, I had a lot of heart and I could make anything.
So do you do much like competing at all anymore, or you just focused on teaching?
I only focus on teaching. I don't have the desire to play anymore, do have but I do play, but through my students. I have a
Right.
lot of students and we just got back from Vegas. I went to the APA to watch a couple of my players, few of my players, and two of them were upgraded and they'd never lost one of their matches. And so it was really fun. So I'm all in. When I give lessons with my students, it's like they're getting that part of me that's like, okay, I'm all in if you're all in.
Right.
And I take it from there. I give them the I think that my mental part of the game is still very much alive through them. And I, it's just, I have hour lessons and most times it ends up being like an hour and a half because one more thing.
Because you're
Gotta tell
because
you one more
you're
thing.
because you're enjoying it.
I love it. I love it like I played pool.
So do you find that you learn something new when you teach? It's like, oh, I didn't know this would do this. Or I mean, sometimes teaching is a learning process too. I mean, you can learn something as you go.
The as far as teaching, if I knew what I know now, I would have been very difficult to beat. I mean, because I had a natural gift
Right.
and I had the right heart, for that gift when I became a Christian at 20. And I waited 5.5 years had passed before I actually played professionally. But but I didn't know. I mean, I cannot believe I won as much as I won now that I know how much I didn't know. And so, but the teaching now, I mean, I know the tangent line. I can bring so much to the table for my players, my students, because I've learned what I needed to help them with, because I had to break it down. For an example, when I retired in '02, I started teaching in the retirement communities
Right.
and they would just walk to the table, one step at a time. And so I'm like, how am I going to help these guys? And so I thought if I could just get them to walk in the right direction. So I realized our feet are very important, how we walk into the shot,
Right.
not to just be at the table right away and think that your eyes are going to be in line for you to make that ball. So I broke it down in every aspect you can with this game, and it really shows up in my teaching.
So yeah, I met you at at Vegas in 2009 or 10. I was out there for Masters, and I guess you had a booth set up, and
Okay.
come by, visited with you a little bit, and um, had you autograph
Participate.
something. I don't remember what. I think it's your picture. So when you were playing professionally, who was your who was your nemesis?
Who was my nemesis? I mean, I love playing Vivian. Before we go though, I lost you.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how to get you back either.
You can hear me though?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Um,
I don't know if it timed out on me.
well,
Um,
I can still see you, so
huh. I need my husband.
I mean, I'll pause. So when you were playing professionally, who was your nemesis?
Vivian. I think Vivian and I were, it was more fun when I played her because it was kind of like more of a rival kind of thing. And
Right.
so it it was she was she was to
So
beat, my favorite to beat.
right, right. So in your opinion, do you think pool is better today than it was when you started? I mean, I know there's more. I know there's you got all the leagues, so there's opportunity for everybody to that wants to play pool. There's an opportunity for everybody to play. Um, but league has turned it more into friendships than anything else. Um, so do you feel like it's better now than it was when you started?
I think that amateur pool is amazing. It's amazing. I think that as I look back, I mean, the players, the pro players, I think that they have a lot more support, in their game than we did as like when I was playing, even though I watched the best players, none of them actually came over and said, Robin, this is why we did this. They didn't help me as much as I just, was able to kind of pick up on what they were doing. I think today that the ladies have help and they have, you know, uh, coaches.
Right.
So I think that that's good. But if I overall, because I've been watching a lot more pool lately, it's still boring, and I think that they still need to find that personality somewhere to get a fan base because I don't know these ladies and they're sitting there like I sat, because we're focused, we're trying to play. But if they had like an introduction or something to say, hey, I'm who I am, and kind of thing, something's lacking still.
Right. And it's horrible that pool is not on ESPN anymore. I mean, you got access to all the pool that you want to watch if somebody's there streaming an event. But yes, it is sometimes it's boring. I mean, I get to where I like watching. I watch the old shows or the streaming of Derby City, and my favorite part of watching that is watching the 10 ball bank string game because it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to sit and watch one pocket for hours, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I love one pocket, but to sit and watch it's like watching golf. Just
Yeah, I don't do that
put you to
either.
sleep.
The 10 ball, are you talking about the one where they play a race to four?
No, the Banks ring game where there's six of them, playing. It's a $1,000 entry, and they start out with poker chips, 2,000 in poker chips, and then it the bet goes up like after every third game, it'll double, and they play till one person's got all the chips. You get paid um, per shot. The banks they have to go clean, and you can do a kick shot, but it has to be 3 rails or more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
I haven't never seen that.
go on watch go on YouTube and on Derby City or the AccuStats is who's putting it on there. Yeah, they're fun, they're interesting.
Yeah. I just started watching with the race to four.
Oh,
It's like it goes one set a piece, and then they play a
sudden death, spot shot. Yeah,
sudden death. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
it is wild, but I don't. I know I guess Predator's new format.
Okay.
Um, I don't. I don't care for it too much, but
Yeah.
I mean, why are you gonna do all that
It's fun
traveling?
watching it on TV, but I don't
Um,
think I'd like to play that.
no, because you spend that much money on an entry fee to play
Right.
a race to four.
Exactly.
It's not. It's like you're not getting your money's worth.
Exactly.
Um, so what does pool need to do to get back to the stage of where they were on TV?
Yeah.
You know, because they got away from the non-ball. Like they do the one every year at the Mohegan Sun. Um, but then they got to where they went to the trick shot magic. Well, that got old pretty quick. And now you can't even, I mean, you can't watch pool on a sports network.
Mm.
So what needs to happen to get that back?
You know what? It has to be fun for the novice player. The one thing about pool is people want to play pool. They're not necessarily wanting to come and watch pool. So it has to be something that they can interact with. I mean, if they even put on a pro am, to where
Right.
they can play with the pros and get them to introduce. Because as far as the amateurs go, they are there to have fun. Once they walk into that tournament room where the pro players, it's be quiet, and it has to be a different format. Something has to change. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it change to where it's, you know, interesting.
Right.
And it's only interesting for somebody that knows how to play. Otherwise, it's like, get me out of here. I want to go have a beer. Or I want, something like that. And anyway, something different's got to happen.
Well, I know that they they're doing that new league that was a PCL. Just watched on ESPN 8. It's Johnny Archer and Allison Fisher versus Federer Gorst and Jennifer Beretta, and it's kind of like they'd come out with bonus ball a few years back, which that didn't last very long. So it's kind of the same format except it's in a Scotch doubles. But it was pretty tough to watch too, and I don't know what it wasn't much that the game was tough to watch. It was the whole production of it. It was bad lighting.
Mine. The weather changed, so I got to move it a little bit.
The sun's moving. You go the other way. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right. So one question I'm starting to ask everybody that I talk to, the pros and the legends, and then I'll let you go and you got some stories that you want to tell. So if they were, I know you watched The Color of Money, right?
Yes.
So if they were to redo that movie today, who would play Paul Newman's part, and who should play Tom Cruise's part?
Wow. I have no idea.
So I asked, who did I ask last week? So last week the answer I got was Kim Davenport, maybe playing the role of Fast Eddie, and then maybe Sky Woodward playing the part of Tom Cruise.
Okay.
So because Sky's pretty entertaining, and Kim Davenport's getting back into, he took some time off, but he's getting back into shooting, and they felt like that would make a good pairing. So.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a good pool movie come out, that would be, but that would capture, the whole audience. I think that if, we never had the sponsorship. So, I mean, I just watched a tournament and it was $25,000 first place.
Right.
I mean, and then I see a lot of them where it's going to be 10,000 or nothing. I'm like, how can you support yourself? You know,
You you can't.
it's just not, it's just pool just never rose to the level that it should have.
Who was your biggest sponsor when you were on tour?
My biggest sponsor, Dick Helmstetter, really helped me a lot with Helmstetter Cues.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I had an old Helmstetter.
mhm.
Um,
And World of Leisure was really a big sponsor for me. World of Leisure pool tables.
right, right. Are they still in?
I
Are they
don't
still
think
in
so.
business? Oh, haven't hadn't heard of them in a long time.
And Dick went on to the golf clubs. He created the Big Bertha.
Right. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. All right. So let me ask you one last question, then I'll let you go.
Okay.
So somebody just starting today, wanting to learn the game of pool, other than the basic of stance and grip and stroke, um, what would you tell a new student to focus on, or what would they learn? What should they learn first?
I have a student right now who it, it is a beginner, and he actually played 6 years ago, but just hitting balls. And so my first lesson, I always watch them play. My lessons are very uh, personal to them. So I watch them play and I work on, I don't believe you need to take your game down before it's going to get better. So I want to work on their weakness right away. And so his mechanics were all wrong. There wasn't anything that he did that wasn't just grabbing a pull cue and eye-hand coordination. So I really focus on his mechanics. And the first thing I do is take away the cue ball, because I know that if I have a cue ball with the ball, they're not going to listen to me. All they want to do is make the ball.
Right.
So I teach them by just shooting the ball into the pocket. I put a ball on the spot, and that way I can work on all of their mechanics, their feet, their hand, their eyes, how they walk into the table. And so once I've done that and I'm comfortable with their pre-shot routine, then I do give them drills. I think that drills, if I give them a short shot, get them to look at the back of the pocket, draw their line, walk into the shot, and they start making that with a stroke. And I work very, carefully with what that looks like instead of just hitting the cue ball. And then I back the cue ball up in between the first diamond from the side pocket to the middle of the next diamond. And I keep having them work on that. And the reason why I do that is because I know that once they can make that a short shot and make a bigger shot, those are the kinds of shots that are going to be on the table. So and what I tell them is this: when they come to my lessons, that this is what I teach them to work on their game. When they go play their buddies, I do not want them to take that to their fun game, because
Right.
at this point it's still not theirs, it's mine. And they go back, they work on their game. Eventually and gradually, they're going to take that into their game naturally.
Right.
And so I think that lessons are very important if they really want to play pool. And I tell them, if I ask them, that's my first question that I ask them is, how much pool do they play? And if they say once a month, I let them know that lessons are a waste of money. Go ahead and go play your once a month and have a blast. I don't want to waste anybody's money or my time,
Right.
because I'm all in and I really do want to help them improve. But so I think that lessons are great. I think if they're looking to really improve their game, and I think that time on the table is very important for them to work just privately and then go have fun with their friends.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you for lessons, how can they get a hold of you?
On Facebook, I think that they can just send me a private message. It's got to
Okay.
be local players are what APA players are my students. I teach in retirement communities as well. So I'm almost full though.
Right.
It's
Okay.
really been growing.
That's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. I wasn't looking for a job.
Right.
I was looking for some fun money. I tell my husband, I go, this is my fun money. Well,
Right.
it's grown so much that I can't really do it with a straight face.
Well, I will let you go.
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
I'll do the little outro real quick, and then I'll let you go. Um, guys and gals, appreciate you joining the Pooling Around show. If you like content like this, please hit the subscribe button down below. Give us a thumbs up and hit the notification bell. That way you know every time that I upload new content. And thanks for watching.
Thank you.